Well, Gladys Berejiklian, at long last, we've got a politician in Australia talking real sense about population. This is a very significant statement that she's made. The New South Wales Premier says it's time to take a breather and tap the brakes on migration. This is the day after the federal government announced this proposal to impose new visa conditions on thousands of migrants, which would force them to settle outside Sydney and Melbourne for up to 5 years. As you've heard me say, I don't know how you police that, whether you put ankle straps on them or something. And why go to Tenterfield or Bendigo or Dalby if there are no jobs? And where are the houses? This is not really the answer. The answer is population. And the New South Wales Premier, this is an extraordinary statement she's made, but she's absolutely spot on. This is almost her finest hour, Gladys Berejiklian, because this affects all Australia. This is real leadership. She's called for a return to the Howard-era immigration levels. Now, basically what that means is that during those years, net migration into New South Wales, and these are very significant figures, was about 45,000. By 2007, the numbers had risen net to 73,000, and then in the last 2 years, almost 100,000. Now, Gladys Berejiklian has made the very valid point, and she said, telling the Daily Telegraph in Sydney, she is the daughter of proud immigrants. So she says she hasn't made the comments lightly. But she says New South Wales, quote, has and always will be open to new immigrants. But she said it's clear that successive federal governments have allowed the rate of immigration to New South Wales to balloon out of control. She said my government has been playing catch-ups, building the schools, hospitals, roads and transport links that our state needs to deal with our growing population after years of do-nothing Labor governments. She said, I know how much we're building in this state. It's more than any government, but we're still playing catch-up. She said it's time to take stock and assess the situation in a mature way. This is not good. This is outstanding. Brilliant stuff by Berejiklian. Brilliant stuff. And she's spot on. This is what the people are saying. We're just transforming suburbs. Not just here, transforming them in Melbourne. High-rise, urban consolidation. The stuff's heritage homes are being destroyed. The whole native nature of the communities are being destroyed. And this stuff's just rising and shooting up into the sky. There aren't schools to educate these kids. There aren't beds in hospitals. The stress on mental health, all these things. She's 1,000% correct. Well done. Gladys Berejiklian entering the migration debate in a big way, saying time to take a breather. This is real leadership. This is a tough call. Tap the brakes. Dick Smith and I have been talking about this for ages. Bob Carr's been talking about it. But no leader, current leaders, ever made a comment. Here's Gladys Berejiklian, the daughter of immigrants, she said, and she hasn't made her comments lightly. She said New South Wales has and always will be open to new immigrants. The Courier Mail in Queensland are addressing the same issue today from a different perspective. Now, this business about, let them come and then force them to settle outside Sydney and Melbourne for up to 5 years. I mean, what do you put, ankle bracelets on them? Or trackers? You can't send people to Dalby or to Monto or to Tenterfield or to Moree or Dubbo or Bendigo unless there are jobs and houses. Many of these people are not proficient in the language. So what's the point of having a policy about anything if it can't be enforced? You can't enforce people, or you've got to put an ankle bracelet on them. So that's not the answer. Gladys Berejiklian has belled the cat here. Now, the Courier Mail in Brisbane are covering the same story from a different perspective. They're saying that southeast Queensland's major roads will be choked with traffic volumes beyond their capacity within a quarter of a century. The Courier Mail is saying today that an analysis of traffic projections from a range of experts has highlighted a nightmare outlook. Those are the words being used, with the region's road network heading towards Los Angeles-like gridlock unless bold steps are taken to solve the problem now. The problem is population. Modelling of 8 key roads commissioned by the South East Queensland Council of Mayors shows all but one will be over capacity in morning peak by 2031. And even that route, the Ipswich motorway, will be under stress. Now, the corridors studied in Queensland were the Bruce Highway, the Ipswich and Centenary motorways, you know these well, South Pine Road out near Everton Park, Old Cleveland Road, the Pacific motorway at Beenleigh and Coomera, and the Mount Lindesay Highway. Now, the Brisbane Lord Mayor and South East Queensland Council of Mayors Chairman Graham Quirk said the initial findings of this work are daunting. And that's what Gladys Berejiklian is saying. He's saying even if every planned and committed major infrastructure project slated for South East Queensland was delivered, this would not be enough to cater for the anticipated growth of our region. That's what Gladys Berejiklian said. She said no one is building hospitals, schools, roads and transport links like we are. That's the Berejiklian government. But we're still paying catch-up. The Mayor of Brisbane, Graham Quirk, is saying even if every planned and committed major infrastructure project slated for South East Queensland was delivered, this still would not be enough to cater for the anticipated growth of our region. So what should happen? What should happen? Even if we started work right now, it'll take years and years and years for anything to be completed. What happens in the meantime? As population and then traffic volumes grow, no corresponding changes to the transport system, but forget that. What about the education, the hospital system? What about police? How can the existing police force deal with this growth in population? The federal opposition leader, Bill Shorten, will today announce plans to boost funding for public education. Now, you know my view about this. Money is not the instrument to solve the problems in education. What we need to understand is what is going on in the classroom. So under the plan, the money, unbelievable, this 14 billion, 14,000 million, I don't know whether this impresses people. Who the hell's going to pay? The money will come into the public system over the decade up to 2028-29. He said the funding increase is about providing more support, more resources, and ultimately more funding to hand on a better deal to the next generation. Money will not offer a better deal. Bill Shorten, it's what is happening in the classroom, what is being taught. Is history and geography and English and maths and the best literature, is that stuff being taught? We know the kids they're very technology alert today. That side of things is terrific. They're better than we were. But they're losing out on passing on the best of the past onto the kids of the future. He says, Chloe and I, his wife, are raising 3 great kids. We want them to get a great education. We want the same for every Australian child. Well, I'm not too sure your kids, if you ask them 1 or 2 simple questions, would be able to give you the answers you'd like. You say quickly they want a 7/8 and they don't know. He says education is at the centre of my plan. Well, he's not the only one concerned about education. But money is not the answer. Last week it was this business about boosting preschool funding by $1.7 billion. But at the end of the day, what are they being taught at preschool? Are these propaganda instruments? People want to know what's going on in the classroom.
Please consider subscribing to my channel if you think there's anything there of use to you or entertainment or whatever. And either do that or give me a thumbs up, or if you're feeling really energetic, do both. That'd be great. But please don't ignore me. That's the worst thing you can do on YouTube, is be ignored.